All right, thanks for joining us for another episode of Advisors Unscripted. I'm your host, Justin Woodbury, and today I am very happy to be talking with Andrew Elison. Andrew is the president and founder of Elison Financial Group. Andrew, thank you so much for agreeing to be on this podcast.
You're welcome. Happy to help.
Yeah. So, man, I have so many questions for you, Andrew, but I always like to ask at the very beginning of an advisor what their founder story is. Why did you start Elison Financial Group? What's the story behind that?
Oh, heavens. Of course, this takes me back a bit. You know, it's been 32 years since I started this process, but all my life, growing up and stuff, I planned on being a farmer. And that was the intent. That was my education as I went to school at Utah State, the whole works. And unfortunately, that didn't work out. You know, my dad lost the farm and things. And so it caused me to pursue other avenues. And I moved here to the area where I'm at actually as a sales rep with a fertilizer company. So still in the agriculture world. And after about 3 or 4 months of that, that company decided to leave the area. And I quite liked it here. So I thought, well, I'll just have to find something else to do. And I came across a gentleman who introduced me into the business of life insurance with a company. And I thought, you know, I don't know what else I'm going to do right now. You know, let's go ahead and give this a shot, you know, take the test, do some study and so on, and work through that process. Unfortunately, that only lasted about 3 months, and he was terminated from that company. So I was on my own. And I was told, you have a yellow pad and a pen, right? So go get them, Tiger. And that was it. That was the extent of my training and whatnot. And so over the course of my life, it's just been trial and error, trying different things, see what happens, see what works. And after about a year with that company, I decided that I wanted to be more full bore, not just that life insurance area. And so a couple of other guys joined up with me, and we moved into a different office and started working together to some degree, mostly just in ownership of the building and doing our own thing. And then eventually I bought them out and, of course, changed the name then to Elison Financial Group. Currently, then I have both my sons are reps as well, working here with me. I have a daughter currently that's my assistant, which is kind of fun having some family in here. But so that's kind of the short of it, I guess, if I can put 32 years in just a couple of minutes.
So how old were you when you first started in the business then?
I was 4.
Yeah. Yes.
I was a prodigy. No, actually, I started at 28.
Okay.
So, you know, if you do the math, obviously that figures out to be I'm 60 years old now, which is insane because I swear I'm only 35. But no, it's been great.
Wow. And how did your dad's health and everything kind of shape where you wanted to take the rest of your life? I know we've talked about this before, and I love the story where you saw what was going on with him and you decided you wanted something different.
Yeah. It's crazy thinking back in a way over my life and what has happened. And I think we're all in that kind of same boat, that it's the experiences and things that we've had throughout our life which create us and who we are and what we do. And at a very young age, early age, 15 years old, my dad, I just had purchased a new horse, and my dad got kicked in the head by that horse. And so he was laid up in the hospital for about 2.5 months. And it happened in August. So just as I started my sophomore year in high school, and we had no hired men. We were farming 1,000 acres and milking 250 cows. Excuse me. And those cows were about 15 miles away from home. So I would get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go milk cows and then come home and take a bath and clean up so I could get to high school. And then on the way home from school, stop and milk those cows again. And then on the weekends, do the farm work. And all I had were my little brothers. And I was 15. My next brother was 12. And I don't know how in the world we got through it, but we got through it. And I don't know how many times I ran off the road in the mornings going to milk cows, but never did I crash, which was such a blessing. But to see what that's done to help develop who I am today, and then just to know the seriousness of my dad. My dad wasn't Nothing wrong with him by any means, but he wasn't really lighthearted, laughter. Things were serious, get the job done and such. And it was good to grow up with that and understand that. But then I learned that, I want to be happier. And that as I studied that out and as I work with that process, I have come to learn that happiness is a state of mind, a state of being, and I get to choose that. It doesn't have to be all the other things out there in life that are going on that dictate that. Now, they can influence my decision, but it's still my decision. And every day, I don't even have to think about it anymore. And I try to help my children understand that. Our oldest daughter, she was very up and down emotionally as a youngster. And I remember telling her, I said, every morning when you wake up, you have a choice to make. And that's whether or not to be happy. And whichever you choose is what will be. And I thought, man, this just is never going to catch on. And one time she came home from college, so obviously many years later, and her little sister was having a fit. And she turned to her and said, listen, every morning when you wake up, you have a choice to make. It's whether or not to be happy. And I thought, wow, it did work. It sunk in. And so now after this many years, it's just not a thought process. Every morning I wake up, it's a great day. Monday, Anthony Robbins, I remember listening to him. He said, my Mondays are better than most people's weekends. That's me. I look forward to coming into this office on Monday morning. I look forward to going home every day too. I just wish there were more hours I could experience both of them, but it's my choice. That's how I choose to look at it. And even in a day and a time like now, with the way the world is, the politics and everything else out there, you know what? It's still a great day. It's a good day to be alive. It's a good place to live. Yeah, there's garbage and junk out there, but you know what? I choose to see the good stuff and enjoy my day and try to spread that and share that with other people as well.
And I've known you for going on 12 or 13 years, Andrew, and you live your life like that. I know you do. When I talked to you, you were one of the first people I talked to about starting this podcast. And I remember I asked you specifically, what would get you coming back to listen to this podcast? And you said, of course, I like to hear how people market themselves. I like to hear how people run their first or second, third appointment. But what really matters to me, what will get me to come back, is when I hear how an advisor provides value to their clients and how they make a difference in their clients' lives. That stuck with me. In fact, that's in the About Us section on the website, and in my podcast pilot intro, I say that specifically, how they make a difference in their clients' lives. You emulate that statement, and I know just because we've been friends that you're on the third and fourth generation of meeting with your clients' children and grandchildren and great grandchildren. Expound on that a little bit, and just I know, but tell me as if you've never talked to me before.
Well, and that's one of those fun things too. As I get to discuss things with other advisors throughout the country, as I meet in different settings and such, and I think to a lot of them, I'm a weird duck, but I know that, and I'm okay with it. I choose to be different. I chose that a long time ago, but a lot of them think I'm nuts because of some of the things that I do. And frankly, here about 6-8 years ago, I sat down and tried to pencil it out the best I could. And what I realized was about 70% of what I do, I never get paid for. And in a business setting or in a job setting, that's like crazy. Why would you do that? But to me, those are the things that make the difference. The things that people don't expect to get from you that you give to them. I mean, even from, there's been times when I take clients to the airport because they don't have anybody else to do that. I remember one couple, while they were gone, I'd go to their house and water their plants. Just all these different kinds of things that I've done for people over the years. It's a little tougher to do some of those now, just being busier and whatnot, but just doing the unexpected things, helping them out. And even, a ton right now is, I don't know, every day I'm getting phone calls from clients, sometimes not even clients. They're so worried about what's going on and what they're hearing out there and stuff. And so we discuss it, we talk about it. I help them try to understand how I feel about it and how I feel things are going. And we get done, and pretty much every time it's like, wow, I just feel so much more comfortable now after having talked with you. a younger kid yesterday. He said, with the way things are going, I needed to turn to somebody that I had trust and confidence in. And you're the one. You're the one that came to mind. I just need to listen to you and hear you for a minute so that I can feel better about where we're at today and what's going on. And it's just those different kinds of things, that you do, that you help people. I help the children when my client passes away. I have the kids come in and I help fill out paperwork, get those things done, make sure the money transfers. And a lot of times that's how I end up with those kids coming back to be clients. Is they see that process. Well, you helped my parents well, and by golly, you helped us get through all this. So yeah, we want to come back. I think one of the most enjoyable number of family members on this one, and the couple came in one time and they said, and this would be a third generation one. So I started out with her grandmother, but she said, I went to my other advisor and I said, hey, I just want to let you know that we're moving our accounts because this guy helped my grandma, he helped my mother, and he's not going to help us. And just so that when you see our money leave your account, that's where it's going. And it's a joy. So much fun just to help people, and it's fun to get and build that kind of relationship and reputation with people, I think.
And I'm probably going to slaughter the numbers here, Andrew, but the great wealth transfer is something that a lot of us have been hearing about. And I believe it's over this next 10 or 15 years, $26 trillion is going to be passed on. So much money. And the number one reason why children don't do business with their parents' advisor is because they don't have a relationship with their advisor. But you're telling me that when your client passes away, you have the children come in and meet with them. That doesn't happen without a relationship. So how are you developing relationship with your clients' children and grandchildren?
So early on, we have an attorney here at the office as well who does the wills and trusts and stuff for us. And I like to review that to a degree with them every year. And one of the things that I like to do specifically in that area is, okay, you have one of your children being your successor trustee or your personal representative. Maybe on this next visit, could you bring them in with you so that I can run through this with them to help them understand what their job, their responsibility is going to be in time. And then we're able to meet and so on. And that's a huge one. And a lot of times I'll do the same thing when it's the finances. If the client is comfortable in their kids understanding and knowing a little bit about what they're doing. I don't like to disclose financial numbers to clients' children unless they authorize that, because there again, finances are probably the most private thing in people's lives. But if they want me to discuss and go over that with their kids, I definitely will. But probably where the biggest help is just helping the children understand, here's what's going to happen when your parents are gone. We're here to help you. And I think that's where most of the time that relationship starts out.
Now, how do you navigate not discussing the finances unless you get their permission? Is that a conversation you have with your clients beforehand?
It is, so as we kind of talk about those kinds of things, I make sure and reassure them that I say, hey, we're not going to talk about finances. I'm not going to give them numbers, accounts, or anything like that unless you want that to be done. And if you do, just tell me and we'll go through that stuff. But otherwise, you talk to them on your own about those kinds of things. I'll talk to them conceptually about what's going on, maybe how the account works and some things like that. But if you want to share the numbers, you either do it or tell me to do it when they're here with you. And again, I really like that too, because it's one of the thoughts that comes to my mind is, so you kids are here and and of course I tell the clients all the time, no, I believe in no secrets. I think it's one of the dumbest things, from the movies in the past where mom or dad pass away and everybody's standing in the attorney's office with this somber look on, just waiting to see when that envelope gets opened, what it says. I think that's just bogus. No secrets. Tell them what's going on, because if they have a beef with you, let them talk to you while you're living.
Yes.
Then if they don't, they better keep their mouth shut when you're gone. Keep it out there in the open. So
you respect them if they don't want to talk finances, but you encourage them to talk about finances.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. Anything else that you do to develop relationships with them? I know you're very relationship oriented. Do you do client appreciation events or anything to get to know your beneficiaries?
Yeah. Aside from just doing regular seminars as we do, we try to do client appreciation dinners once a quarter. Invite a number of clients to those as well. Treat them to a nice dinner, have some fun, maybe have a 5-minute, 10-minute at most financial update and whatnot generally. Some other things. I've probably had 500 people out to my house. I've given a horse-drawn wagon ride to. I have 4 percheron draft horses, and people just love coming out and doing that. It's just it's not an everyday thing you get to see, and they're such big, beautiful horses. This last Christmas, December 3rd, a Saturday, I've had a guy for the last year and a half or two really harassing me. He says, I've got this nice Santa suit, and you've got those horses and wagons. We need to get together and do something. And so I've just been racking my head. What can we do where we can use both of those? And it dawned on me last November, hey, let's just invite some clients that we know have grandkids around here to come to the office. I'll bring the horses and wagon to the office, have them come here to the office, and we'll give them a wagon ride with Santa. And then when they get done, we'll give them a little bag of goodies. And so we did that on December 3rd this year. We had about 70 people show up for about an hour and a half, gave 10 different rides, gave away some candy and whatnot, and people were just thrilled with it. We even had probably a half a dozen or better people who showed up just to see it. They didn't go for a ride. They just came just to see it and marveled, at the horses and different things like that. One gentleman's 95 years old. He didn't feel like he could get up on the wagon, so he just wanted to watch. And it just took him back, in time. And he just was so thrilled with it and enjoyed it. And that's what brings me joy with that. I love sharing them. Let people see them. Like I say, they just don't get to see that kind of stuff. We do a couple of parades as well. And of course, on our wagon, it has Elison Financial Group, so it's an advertisement thing. I don't know that anybody even sees the name on it as much as they just see the horses, because it thrills them so much. Last year I had my daughter's father-in-law in the wagon with me, and throughout the entire parade, he kept saying, "Man, Andrew, you're the hit of the parade here. Everybody just loves this." And this year we got to be the first horses in the parade instead of the back end.
Oh, nice.
And so I asked several people who I knew were at the parade. I said, "I'm just kind of curious. I know what people said when we went through the parade. What did they say or do when the other horses came through the parade?" And they said, really nothing. I don't know that they even noticed they were there. So, because ours are spectacular compared to a regular horse. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. So just, we try to think of things like that. Obviously we have another one is we do calendars. So pretty much everybody knows now, hey, Andrew has calendars come October. We need to swing by the office and pick up calendars. A lot of times they'll take 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, give them to friends and whatnot as well. Just anything that kind of is something different, dare to be different, stand out.
Yep. And keeping keeping you at the top of their mind with the calendar. I love that idea.
Yeah.
Just out of sheer curiosity, what's the calendar design? Do you put pictures with it, or is it just a simple calendar? Or?
Yeah, it's pictures. What I've used, I forget the artist's name now, but it's mountain type setting, cabins in the hills and rivers and lakes and things like that.
Okay.
But I think this fall we're going to try and do our own. We're trying to take pictures every month of the horses, the wagon and stuff. But part of our logo is a silhouette of a four horse hitch. And so I think we're going to try and make a calendar that every month just has something about our horses on that. And see how that flies. A lot of clients have said, "Man, that'll be so neat. I definitely want one of those." I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if people like it or if they don't. If it works, we'll keep doing it. If it doesn't, we'll go back to the other pictures.
Can I buy one from you?
No, you can have one though.
It's hard because you told me about your horses, and I always thought, man, that's cool. Then I came to your house and saw them, and it's hard to describe such a magnificent beast and how beautiful those black, huge. How many hands for people who are horse people? How many hands are your
They're
horses?
19 hands, which means basically at the shoulder, they're 6'2". And so when I harness them up, when I put the bridle on, I have to stand on a ladder.
Wow.
To be able to get that up over their ears.
Yeah, they're just magnificent. And with your carriage, do you have a sleigh, tracks in the snow for the snow?
No. I have 2 wagons. One's rubber tire and the other one's steel. So the steel one is like the old-fashioned stuff with the wooden spoke wheels and things like that. That's what we use in the parade now. The rubber tire is the one I use to give people rides with, just because it's a little bit smoother. But both of them look good hooked up. But then this year we'll have the 4 hooked up on that wagon. So, 2's beautiful, 4 is going to be awesome.
Yeah, magnificent. I love it. Do you, in the parades, do you pass out like flyers or anything like that, or do you just go through and do the brand recognition?
We haven't. We just go through and let people cheer and take pictures. I feel like we don't need to do the flyers because they're all taking pictures and videos of us, so they've got our name and phone number there anyway.
Have you ever done a seminar where someone's come in and said, "Hey, I recognize you. I saw you in the parade," or anything?
Not yet. I've asked a couple of times in the seminars if anybody has seen that, if they've attended any of the parades we've been in, and so far, no, they haven't. So it'll be interesting. One of these days, I suspect, and again, I don't do it for the advertisement, but I'm going to advertise. I do it because I enjoy it and I want to see other people enjoy it. That's what brings me joy with that.
Yeah, I was going to say, it probably won't stop you from keeping doing it because you just love doing it. Who cares if people recognize you? Yeah.
And if the day ever comes that I, so to speak, retire, I'll probably keep advertising for my boys. So,
switching gears just a little bit, you're a bit of an anomaly in a lot of different ways, in a good ways. But when it comes to targeted direct mail dinner seminars, I remember a couple of years ago, we were at an event together and everyone was saying, "Oh, you've got to use high-end steakhouses or a nice Italian restaurant." And you being a top advisor at this event, someone said, "Hey, Andrew, what top-end restaurant do you use?" And I forget whether you said it was a pizza, all-you-can-eat pizza, or a Chinese buffet, or
pizzeria.
A pizzeria. Talk about that a little bit, because it blows people's minds that you are writing so much money from having it at a pizzeria. Why did that work?
It is amazing to me, and I so yearn for, these nicer places like some have, and we just haven't had that here in our area. So, I used to do a American Chinese buffet. And of course, all the marketers say, you don't do buffets, you don't do ethnic. But for a good number of years, it worked. But then I saw it starting to tail off a little bit. And so that's when then we switched over to the pizzeria. But at the pizzeria, we actually got them to serve steak and salmon, which, we had to make sure that was on the invitation, because you don't think of having steak and salmon when you go to a pizzeria. And the other nice part about that was we were into it probably $15 a plate is all. The problem was we could only fit about 20 people in the room, because most of the restaurants around here in our area don't have banquet facilities. It's all about the numbers, getting people in and out and stuff. And then, so we've done that for quite a while. But then here right in town where we're at, a gentleman opened up a steakhouse, and it has a couple of larger rooms. So we're actually in a room that'll hold like 300 people, but we still try to keep it around 30, 35. And now we have a really nice steak and a really nice salmon. But yeah, we're $35 a plate now too, but it's just a lot nicer. We're still getting the same caliber of people. The people are all really good. Coming to the dinners, enjoying it. We're now at the process where we do about a 25 to 30 minute presentation is all, and then get right to dinner and stuff. And we've had a number of comments, especially here recently, that, man, that was more information than I thought I was going to get, but it was a lot shorter than I thought it was going to be. You hit everything just right. And it caused me to think of things that I hadn't thought about, questions that I needed to come up with, but I didn't know. And everything about it was just really good, and so like Thursday, we did a seminar Thursday. We had 9 units show and all 9 booked appointments. We've got one tonight as well. Very typical for us is, 15 to 20 units will come to the two, between the 2 nights or whatever. And there's only 1 or 2 that we don't book appointments with. That part of that's just our attitude too, is when they show up, I expect them to be there. It's kind of my answer to the joke that goes around out there. Everybody talks about, well, plate liquors, this, that, and the other. I said, they're all plate liquors. That's what they came for. That's why we're using this restaurant, is to attract them to come to the restaurant. If they don't come into the office, it's because I did a bad job. It's not because the restaurant did a bad job. And it's our job to get them from the restaurant into the office. And then once in that office the first time, now it's our job to help them feel that we can be of assistance and help to them to make it worthwhile to come back and continue to visit with us. So we have progressed a little bit as far as our venue. which I really like. It's good enough that people will travel 30, 40 minutes to come to it. It's that kind of a restaurant now. Um, like during COVID, he wasn't closed very long because he couldn't afford to be. And I remember talking to him because, we have a good relationship with the owner himself. And again, it's very Westerny. He started out with 3,000 square feet. He now has 32,000 square feet, 5 kitchens, and so on. And it just, he really draws a crowd. And there, I can't remember when it was. Maybe it was like August or something, in 2020. We did a seminar, and it was Thursday. And on Thursdays, they have dance instruction that evening as well there. And so we finish up the seminar, and we come out to where that room is, and it was packed. And you couldn't tell who was dancing with who. There were so many people on the floor. Man, this is so fantastic, to see this kind of thing. And that he's made this available for people, somewhere for them to go when everybody else is scared and staying home.
I love that story. And for context, for people who, and this is not, we're not trying to just promote seminars or whatever, but again, you're kind of an anomaly where you do seminars at a nicer place now, but you started doing seminars in a not such a nice place, going against the grain in a smaller town. So in Caldwell, Idaho, we're not talking about a Denver, Colorado, or a Chicago, Illinois, or New York. Like, what kind of a size are we talking about in the Caldwell, Idaho area?
So with the marketers for our demographic, we use 55 to 75, and so on, homeowners, certain income levels and assets, available assets. We only have about 12,000 that can be mailed to, and so that'll get us usually through 2 months. So we'll send out 6,000 and 6,000. And so every other month, the same households are getting hit again. But I don't think that's a bad thing either. Just to kind of take you back a little bit, when I first started doing seminars, I don't know that anybody here in the area did that. So the first one I think I ever did was like in 1994. And I didn't know really what I was doing. I made up the flyer and I copied it on white paper. So it was black and white on a photocopy machine in the office, pretty much wore the copy machine out, making that many copies. Then I took them to the newspaper and they put them in the paper, so we sent out like 60,000, flyers in the newspaper. And we had over 100 people come to those first 2 seminars, and we held them at the library.
Wow.
Okay. So just a nothing kind of a thing. And I go back and I look at that flyer. It's kind of hilarious, because I thought we ought to put our pictures on them. Well, I didn't have one. So I grabbed 3/4 and went down to Pojo's at the mall and threw the 3/4 in and posed and got my picture taken. That's the picture I used on my flyer. And I look at that now and it's like, man, why did people even come? That is so amateur and terrible. But it worked because, it's never been done here before. And so I just continue to try and progress on that to do a better flyer. Obviously, we use a lot nicer stuff and now direct mail and whatnot too. But, just the different venues we've been able to use. And at this point now, I feel like we've really outlasted everybody. I'm of the age now, I get my own invitations now. But what's nice is I get them from others too. And from what I can tell over this past year or two, there's only 2 other groups out there doing seminars at all. And they do them in Boise, in the big city there, and which is fine. I don't want to go there. They can have that area. I'll stay out here where we're at. So I don't feel that we compete with anybody, because I don't feel anybody does what we do as a whole. They do pieces of what we do, but nobody does like we do. And I feel after this many years, we've really, before I even knew of what branding was or even heard the term, I was doing that. And I feel that we are very well branded. And I feel I know some reps from some other companies who feel that I'm their competition. We're their competition. It's like, no, we're not, because you don't do what we do. But that's how they feel, which is wonderful. But people in the area know Elison Financial Group, who they are, where they are, which is just, it's a wonderful thing to get to that point. And it's going to be so great. I think about that often, how much nicer that's going to be for my boys. They didn't have to start from scratch like I did, but that again, that just brings me joy to think about that too.
Do you think, would you contribute your closing ratio at seminars, your booking ratio, because almost the entire room that's an anomaly as well. Most advisors don't get that. Do you attribute that to how good of a job you've done with branding or something else?
I'll say it this way. I don't know, because this is one of those things that I don't know that you can teach, train, and duplicate.
Mm-hmm.
But literally, and I mean this in all sincerity of heart, it's because of who we are and how we are. I don't, yeah, I think branding, I think all those other things kind of help. But I just get, from people as they come in and visit, for some reason, somehow, there's almost an instant trust built, rapport, those kinds of things that are so key in having a relationship with somebody. I have people that will come in for that first appointment who are ready to write a check. It's like, no, we don't do it that way. We need to visit, talk, find out what your needs are and things like that. I did do something Thursday I've never, ever done in my life. Of course, timing was critical on this one. But after the seminar was over, I was visiting with a couple. They're a little bit younger than I am. And they got talking about some things tax-wise, and so it's starting to answer a few questions with them tax-wise. Well, come to find out, it's like, well, you know what? If you'd contribute to an IRA, you're going to save yourself a bunch of money in taxes. And I said, but the problem is you got till Tuesday. And they go, well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense to us. Our accountant kind of mentioned that to us, but wasn't real specific. But man, you just cleared that up so much more. And so Saturday, I went over and took applications and got checks from them without ever having an appointment. I've never, ever done that before. And of course, that was real simple. It was an IRA. They needed to do it for tax purposes. I have an appointment with them next week to sit down and really talk about things, to try and set up a whole plan and whatnot. But I thought that was just kind of interesting too, that somebody just that quick could go, hey, I'm going to trust you. Set this up for me.
So you just said you think you attribute it to who you are, who we are, and how we are.
And
what's that?
Who we are and how we are.
Yeah, who you are and how you are is somebody who 70% of the time you don't write. You're providing value without getting paid for it, and that's it. All goes back to your why and why you do what you do. And so I agree that can't be. Someone can't just copy and repeat that.
You can't teach it.
You can't teach that. You have to be it.
And unfortunately, I believe it's hereditary.
Yeah, nice. Well, it can be caught on to. I think anybody that would hang around you for a long enough time can be like that. But yeah,
I got a lot of it from my dad. I know that's where it came from. And my boys, I watch them, and they're getting it from my dad. They're getting it from me. So yeah, it can be duplicated, but you have to be around it. You have to see it, and you have to desire it.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to do what it takes to be that way.
And you can't fabricate it, right? You can't.
Nope. It can't be fake.
It can't be fake. Yeah. I love that. I know this about you, Andrew, because you never answer the phone when I call you on Fridays. But talk about your I love your work-life balance is what I'm trying to say. Talk about your work-life balance. What do you do on Fridays?
Friday's my day. On occasion, I'll be here in the office, but that's by my choice. If I need to meet up with somebody, sometimes it's to get caught up on some of the paperwork and whatnot. But most of the time, Friday is my day to be at home, take care of my yard, my garden, mess with the animals and things like that. Because then Saturday is the family day, which that's very limited now to my wife and I. We married off our youngest last Saturday.
Oh, congrats.
So we're, I guess, officially technically empty nesters, and now I need to grow up, I suppose. But, Friday is my day to get done what I want to get done on that day. Right now, my wife has told me that because I did pick up 2 more horses about 2 months ago, so that's why I've got the 4. She says, if you do that, I'm all for it. But if you do that, you need to take another day off work. So you have one day that's just horse day that you can play with the horses and stuff. And so we'll work at that. But, youngest son just started this year. And so I thought, I really need to hit it hard here for a little bit with him and get him on his feet before I start taking some time off. So I'm thinking here in the next 2 or 3 years, I might get back to where I'm just working a couple of days a week here at the office, which I don't ever want to quit. Mm-hmm. It pains me to think about leaving here and not coming back. I don't like that thought.
Yeah.
I like coming here. I like going home. All those things. I just wish there was more time and I could stay younger to continue to enjoy it. But I'll keep going as long as I feel that I'm helpful and of use to others. But yet in the same hand, allowing the two boys to kind of do a little bit more as well. Monday to Thursday, just, kind of hit it hard, get in here, get things done. Typically 4 to 5 appointments every day. Some days we end up getting more than that. Like today, I think I had 2 scheduled, and I had 6 people just drop in, and just things that they need, just offhand, last minute. And I like to be available for that, but sometimes it's really hard. But just to be helpful, that's kind of one of my big thoughts in the last couple of years is I want to be known as somebody that was helpful. Somebody they can turn to, somebody they can have as an advocate, somebody that they can go to for some answers, a second opinion, second set of eyes or whatever. And it's not going to cost me to do that. I've had people call up and ask some pretty interesting things, just because they know they can call and ask. One gentleman here a few years ago, he called and said, "Hey, just an update and a question." He said, "I just want to let you know I had a heart attack a few weeks ago, but I'm fine. And my question is," and I said, "Hey, whoa, stop. Let's talk about this issue here for a minute."
Yeah.
And, because he just kind of blew it off.
Yeah.
And so we talked a little bit about it. And I'm fine. I'm doing good. But he says, "My question, and really what I wanted to ask you about is, who cuts your hair?" And I said, "My wife does." And he goes, "Well, I guess that won't work." So, and I've had people call up and ask gardening questions, questions about chickens. I mean, it's all kinds of things. So, because I do have my little farm out there. I don't farm it, I rent it out, but I have my cows, horses, chickens, dog, and stuff. And, I love gardening and stuff too, and taking care of the yard. So, we get asked all kinds of things. It's just, again, it's nice to be helpful.
I always like to end recordings, interviews with this question. What's one piece of advice that you would tell your younger self when you were just starting off in the business?
Be happy. Hang in there. It'll all work out. Just do the right things.
Love it. And choose to be happy, right? That's how you kind of started off this. I love that.
I mean, why would you want to choose not to be? There's enough going on out there. You don't need to choose to be grumpy. So be happy. And, just like let's see, what was it? It's one of those animated Christmas shows. I think Santa Claus is coming to town or something. It's, they sing that song, just put one foot in front of the other. And literally that's what we've got to do. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other, choose to be happy, do what you are in control of and you can do. Don't worry about the other stuff, and it'll all come together. It'll all work out. Worrying's like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but gets you nowhere. So why do it? And most people love to worry about stuff they have no control over. It's such a waste of time. Deal with the stuff you can control and move on.
Love it. Any other final words you want to leave with the listener?
Oh, heavens. 32 years worth, we could go on for a long time.
Yeah.
It's tough, if I can say it that way, as tough as this business is, again, if you can put in the time, the effort, and last, it's very rewarding. And again, I am not speaking about monetarily. I appreciate getting paid so we can eat and, pay bills and things, but I can sincerely, honestly say that it has nothing to do with that. The greatest joy I get is just helping somebody, to be able to help them accomplish their goals and dreams, to help them from paying as much tax. That's one of my fun things with people all the time too, is, I am not here for the IRS, and anytime I can keep money in your hands instead of going to the IRS, that's a good day. And I like those days. And so just, let the pay happen. I mean, if you were to ask me right now, what do you get paid, for doing this, that, or the other? I really don't know. I mean, I can guess, but that's not what I focus on. I don't know what percentage I get of what. I just do my thing. And, some of these companies that offer, trips and different things like that, I have no idea where I stand with any of that stuff until somebody sends me an invitation, says you get to go to a trip or something. Great. What did I do to do that? Different things like that. Cause that's not what matters. It's helping the people and doing the right thing. And you'll always come out okay.
Beautiful. Love it. Andrew, thank you for taking time to do this. I appreciate it.